bizarre, isn't it? So I wanted to talk about our Zoom meetings and about the group and everything like that. You've probably noticed, some of you, I've removed about 20 people from the messenger group, the notification group, and I actually had a bit of feedback on it from people that have said, hey, you took me out of the group, from people that never have attended a meeting. You know, and it's like, in our meetings, the whole thing is to become fully participant, fully connected, fully, you know, engaged in it on every level, not just to sit back and be a bystander. And I even had somebody say to me that, oh, I like to just watch the meetings afterwards when they're posted. I don't like to join in with others. And it's like, the whole point of this is to join in with others. The whole point of this is exposure. And so in the interest of not wanting to cast pearls before swine, I deleted a whole bunch of people and cut out the deadwood. So that allows energetically a space or an opening for whatever might come after that. But it's like, I'm not about, like Jesus says in the Course, you know, you have to believe in those who you give your learnings to. There's no point in sitting down, spending weeks and weeks and hours and months with somebody who you think's not really into it. Why would you do that? Someone who's not really interested. You guys will find this out for yourselves when you start teaching in a proper way. You know, like in a formal sense, if you do that, you'll have all sorts of representations of your own mind that are saying they want it, but the words aren't backed up by the behavior, right? And it's just like, well, you got to make a decision because you're responsible for that mind, right? If you go to a doctor and they give you a prescription and you know that your patient isn't taking the full prescription or isn't taking the prescription as the thing, you have to do something because you're responsible for that patient, right? You are your brother's keeper. And it's like, you either take the whole prescription that I give you or don't take it at all, right? But taking half of it is just as dangerous as not taking it all, right? It's like, there's no such thing as partial inner peace. There's no such thing as partial commitment. And there's no such thing as a partial entering into your own transformation. You can't sit on the edge and be a bystander and wait for the right time where you feel it's appropriate for you to step in. That's what ego always does. I'll do it when I'm ready. You're never going to be ready. I'll make a commitment when I feel more, you know, when my kids are left home and all of that. That's not how it is. The kingdom of heaven waits for no person at all, waits for no man. So you have to kind of hear the call and turn up. I'm here. You know, if you're not hearing the call and you're not turning up and you're not here, then it's like, I'm not going to waste my breath. I'm not going to waste my time. And it's like, you guys shouldn't either. And I know plenty of guys that'll sit and be a little wishy-washy about that. And like Jesus says, you know, you're either hot or you're cold. You're either in or you're out. That's it. There's no gray area. So you have to be that uncompromising as well, whatever that looks like to you. You know, however that shows up in your own thing. Doug, you do a lot of therapy stuff. I see your ads and that sometimes. It's like, same thing. You wouldn't take on board a patient that obviously wasn't using the advice you gave or whatever like that, would you? You'd be like, what's the point? Go find somebody else that you can hear this from, or go find someone you think is, you know, but you never get salvation on your own terms. Right? You just don't. Because you don't know what it is. You're the problem. And salvation is the solution. So it's like, oh, I want the solution, but I want to tell you what the solution is that I want. It's like, nah. See that other guy with the sandals walking that way? Go follow him. Go be with that guy. He's going to go off and build houses and catch fish and do whatever. It's like, I'm just going to keep going in this direction. You don't have the right sandals for this journey. So that's that, and I'm kind of excited to see what shows up. It's like it's getting to the point now where it's just the same kind of group of us over 2-3 nights. Like the Wednesday night, there was only Tina and I last Wednesday, which was perfect. But there's only like 6 or 7 of us really that are like 8 or 9, you know, maybe at the thing, that are kind of in this. in this Zoom thing. Who's putting the hand up?
I raised my hand.
You got a little hand up there.
I was trying to be official and raise my hand.
I didn't see it.
Hi, I have a little something I'd like to ask you if you would. Could you talk a little bit about the recording of it too, while we're on this sort of a subject? I think it might be helpful.
I didn't do that. You
did it on Wednesday, but it was just, you said it was just me and you.
You
Anna
and me,
yeah. Anna was there though.
Were you?
And Angela was there as well. So
really?
But I think it would be helpful to say it.
That's fine. Yeah, I remember. I think I remember that now.
Yeah.
It's all.
They peeled off. Anna had to go pray. She went about it.
Oh, that's right. Yep. So okay. So what are we talking about? Okay.
If you could talk a little bit about the fact that they're recorded and it's public and the reasoning why. Aside from the deeper purpose for that happening, if you would.
All right. So
I'll lower my hand now.
Okay. So in the interests of healing, right, we're recording these things and we're putting them up on YouTube, and they're sort of like, if you know about it, you'll find it, but they're also open to public investigation, so that if Spirit has need for someone to find what we're about, they'll be able to find it. Right now, some people have expressed a discomfort in being put up in a public thing like YouTube or whatever. And it's like, well, you have to kind of look at this from the overall perspective. I'm participating in something here that benefits the greater good through my own action of mind, through my own undoing, right? The idea that I would want to keep that to myself and not be able to share that in its full capacity in any way possible with others in this world, where finding a way to deal with error is so difficult, is kind of like missing the point of the whole meeting. It's like in 50 years, 100 years, if there's still YouTube or whatever, I would love for people to be able to be clicking around and go, oh, A Course in Miracles, Zoom meeting, 2022, we'll all be long gone, 2022, and let's see what these guys are about, right? And here we are as historic references representing a singular curriculum of self-awareness in a particular way that we're saying is being useful for us in helping to facilitate a shift in consciousness and a greater understanding of our position in the whole thing, and that we're wanting to offer that to our world, right? You never get anything for yourself alone. The whole point of the teaching of the Course is that healer and patient are not separate, and that what I heal in me and the miracle that occurs in me can affect people that are not even born yet and people from the past, right? Because time isn't a linear thing that goes from alpha to omega. If you imagine it as a tube and you spin that tube around end on end like a microscope, not a microscope, what do you call that thing? Telescope, and you look through it, it's happening all at once in the now. It's all one thing going on, which is why the mind that is learning this technology, like the collapse of time, is bringing that alpha and omega together, boom, in the here and the now, where in this moment, all dimensions, all realities, and everything else exists, right? The ego would have you believe that it's spanned out over time and you've got millions of years to go and all of that sort of thing. That's fine. That's how the mind will continue to operate until it has a profound enough shift that the change that that shift brings becomes concretized in the thought system, and going back on the shift is impossible. Okay. But that only comes about when you see that your interests and your brother's interests are not separate. Now, if you still have some kind of concern how you think that ought to look, that you're fulfilling your part in the atonement and you're making that effort to overcome error within yourself, and it should be this way or it should be that way, then you still got more work to do. Right? Jesus took a whole bunch of people across the desert, let's say, right, in the Holy Land, tens of thousands at one point, people from little villages everywhere flocking to follow the man who healed by the grace of God, right? You can bet there was nobody in that group who was doing this. Oh, there's Mrs. Jones from next door. I don't want her to see me here. Trying to uphold some kind of social standing or identity based on an integrity that, you know, if shaken, would have to represent this as some kind of gobbledygook. You know what I mean? It's like, what is there in the mind that is attempting to maintain some kind of defense or distance or anonymity regarding this that would fall away if it was exposed completely? That's why we're here. We're here to be exposed completely. That's the whole purpose. I'm here to be completely vulnerable, completely open. I want the whole universe to be looking at me going, no, that guy's just a tattoo artist. He's not the Christ. He must be crazy, right? Bring it on, right? That's the catalyst. That is the catalyst. It's like Jesus walked around. It's like, no, he can't be the Messiah. He's just a carpenter, you know, just the son of the carpenter. It's like, well, same thing, exactly the same thing. So there's no solution other than acceptance. There's no solution other than a letting go of a defensive position that is attempting to maintain some kind of falsity about an identity-based concern. Right? So here we are, we're on show to the world. It's like, holy cow, in a world of 8 billion people that are all trying to holdly type, you know, that little bit of light and use it for what they want. Here we are going, hey, I'm here. I love you. I'm undergoing this whole shift. I'm undergoing this whole transformational bullshit adventure for you. I'm not asking your gratitude. I'm not asking for anything. I'm doing this so it's easier for you when your turn comes. I'm doing this to help raise up the vibration of consciousness for you when your turn comes to do it. So you may not have to dig into such deep a pit of bullshit as I had to, because I love you. That's it. Because I love you. Everything ends at the bottom line, because I love you. If the bottom line doesn't end with that, you need to go back and revise the script, see what's going on. Why wouldn't I want to do this because I love you? Why wouldn't I want to stand up? You know, it's like every social reformist, let's say, even in a worldly sense. Martin Luther King, he had some incredible ideas. Gandhi had some incredible ideas. John Lennon, Jesus, you know, all of these guys that had this powerful perception of the way things could be as an extension and thing. All of them assassinated and killed and shot and whatever. It's like, you're not being asked to play that role to be assassinated and killed and shot, but you're being asked to stand up and represent. That's what this is about. It's like the time will come in your own thing, in your own neighborhood, where everybody that sees you as just their neighbor or their whatever, it's like they're going to either choose to see you then as, wow, this person's standing up and they're representing. I always thought they were just, you know, a gardener or a mechanic or whatever. They're actually standing up and representing the Christ as my next door neighbor, as my shopkeeper, as my automobile mechanic. I love that little story of what's his name? Not Jonathan Livingston Seagull, Richard Bach's other book, Illusions, the Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah. Right. So the Messiah has, if you haven't read it, it's a little teeny book that'll take you a couple of days to read. The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah, right? It's just called Illusions, and there's a blue feather on the cover. It's a fictional story about a guy that realizes or has a realization in his own mind about the nature of life and how he's just clinging to everything and fearful and all of this sort of stuff. And I don't remember the whole body of the story now, but in the beginning, there's a little preamble kind of story written in a handwritten text, like on a scrappy bit of, and it's even printed as if it's like on a little notepad, like a Spirax notepad. And it's stuck in the front of the book before you get to the typed out bit. And it's just all handwritten. And it says, in the holy lands of Indiana in the east of Fort Wayne or something, came a master unto the earth. You know, and it goes on. The master had learnings from other lands and other lives that he'd lived, and he carried those learnings with him into his trade as a mechanic of automobiles, you know. And when people started to find out that he was actually a Messiah, they would throng into his automobiles workshop and beg him to heal them and teach them and do everything for them and the whole thing. And he became so popular for that and not his automobile skills that he had to leave his job and go away, right? The owner of the automobile shop asked him to leave. And it's like, well, that's each of us. We're not being asked to feed the masses and to heal the blind and the lame and whatever. If those things come along, those are the gifts of the Holy Spirit. As it says in the New Testament, when the Holy Spirit comes along, he will bless you with many gifts. Some will be teachers, some will be healers, some will be visionaries, all these sorts of things. You know, there's a whole section in there about it. And you have to use those gifts. You have to use those gifts. You've got to represent. You've got to stand up and use it, because if you don't use it, you'll lose it. Right? If you don't use it, you'll lose it. The Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away. And it's not really that the Lord taketh away. It's just like, if you don't use it, you'll lose the capacity to use it, because not using it allows in the framework of the old thought system to build up an excuse or a reason for not wanting to use it. I don't want to stand up and represent because of what people will think of me. What if I get persecuted by my neighbors and my friends? If you still have all those sorts of concerns, go and do something else. Like, this is a journey for, you know, the stout of heart. This is a journey for those who are done with the injustices of the world and who look out and see the pain and the suffering in their brothers' lives and their own lives and know that there must be a better way. And you've got to represent that in its entirety or not at all. However it comes to you to do that. You can't hide. You can't be concerned about being exposed, because the purification part of this whole journey, which is the beginning part, the purification that we're going through now, is elemental in the necessity for exposure. It's the foundation of it. You've got to be exposed. I'm full of shit. I'm full of shit. I'm the denial, all of this stuff in this world, right? And I'm learning to let go of that errant thought system so that I can reabsorb or relearn what it is that my processing should be about, to integrate a place of being willing to represent totally the truth of myself rather than the lie. Okay? But to do that, I've got to release everything. I've got to be exposed. And it's like, I don't care what people think of me. You think Jesus cared what people thought of him when he was carrying the cross? Everybody that was there and witnessed to his miracles, everybody that followed him across the hills and saw him heal and fishes and loaves and all of that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, they all turn against him. They all start pointing out the disciples that were with him. That guy was with him and that guy was with him. All the Karens of his dream, you know? And it's like, do you think he really cared? He knew that had to happen. He knew that it would happen, because they couldn't hear and they couldn't see. Right? Don't be a Karen. Be a disciple. Stand up. Represent. Who the hell cares what anyone thinks? Because what the hell have you got to lose? Really? What are you trying to protect? You know? So these Zoom meetings, they're out there. We've already got some on YouTube, and it's like, I don't know, like, it was probably more Tina than anyone that was concerned about it. But see, she can admit to that. But these Zoom meetings are out there. And here's a funny thing, right? So I was talking to Tina about this the other day. My YouTube channel that I've had for God knows how many years, which has had like 19 viewers, 19 subscribers, has gone from 19 to nearly 500 in a matter of weeks since these things have been going up there, which means that people are finding this, accessing it. And if they're accessing it, then they're able to also take on board what it is that we're about in these meetings. And when we do, like me talking is nothing. This is just housekeeping stuff, right? But when we're doing that 20-minute book and it gets active, right? When you start to have those reflective moments, when you have those realizations, oh my God, that's me, right? Which are actually good moments, even though they're humbling and sometimes embarrassing and everything. They're actually good, healthy moments, right? But when you have those moments and you have the release of it and everything like that in a public forum, and it's like you don't care, that's a huge example. That's a massive example to anyone else who's looking at this book going, I don't get it. I don't get what it's about, how it all falls into place, whatever. Because nobody else does this. No one else teaches like this. No one else makes those confrontations. Right? I operate these meetings with the understanding and the acceptance of the fact that you guys are entering into a circle with me for my healing and for the healing of all the world. Right? It's a collaborative venture, and we join in it as that, which is the most beautiful thing. Everybody gets a bit out of it. Everybody sort of gets to go up a little bit of vibration. Every meeting, it's more and more and more. It's like I hear this again and again and again. And then you probably already realize when you go out your front door and into the world, it's completely encapsulating. It's very hard to maintain a presence of mind in many situations that the world throws at you. So the more of these meetings, the greater the witness to what it is that we're about in this begins to build in your own mind and in your own memory and in your own awareness, so that when you do walk out the front door, you can carry it with you for a more sustained period without losing your own peace of mind at the next catastrophe or natural disaster or anything that happens. Just because you can walk around saying, oh, it doesn't matter, it's just an illusion, doesn't mean that's what you truly believe. It's just what you're telling yourself because you picked up a book that tells you that, right? But it's literally the integration of the principles that the book's presenting that will bring your understanding of it and your experience of it together, so that thoughts, words, and deeds all line up. And you'll be judged for that. You'll be held accountable for that by the cast and crew of your dream. He's just a carpenter's boy. He's just Doug the artist. He's not the Messiah. He's a very naughty boy. The life of Brian. Even Brian didn't want to be the Messiah in the life of Brian. That's the funniest film, The Life of Brian. It's like at the end, he ends up crucified regardless. No matter how much he tried to deny, I'm not the Messiah, go away. He still ended up on the cross. It's like you can't escape your destiny. All you can do is accept it and be about the process of, let's speed this up and get it done with, because I don't want to have to drag this out. I see that it's going to be painful. There's going to be confrontations. There's going to be healing. There's going to be forgiveness. There's going to be all of this stuff goes on. Let's just get it over with as quickly as possible. And some people like to look at it and go, well, I'll just day at a time, whatever. And then there's other ones who's like, fuck yeah, I really want to get through this. I want to find my denial and dig it out and all of this stuff and heal it. That's fine too. It's like, it's not up to me to decide for you how it is that you embrace the curriculum or apply it, but I'm here to represent it. And same as you guys are here to represent it. I think there's a bit in the course where Jesus says an elder brother is entitled to devotion if he's devoted, or whatever that line is, something like that. And it's like, I'm kind of pretty sure I'm devoted. So, and if you want to avail yourself of that devotion that I have as an extension of it to you, then we have very simple parameters for being able to do that, which is keep your cameras on, join in, because I'm not offering anything else. I'm not offering anything else. It's total joining or not at all. And the perspective, like where Jesus says, teacher of God, accept no compromise, where death plays a part. You guys are going to have to decide what that looks like for you as well, with family and friends and all of that sort of thing. If they're telling you, oh, shut up, I don't want to hear about any of that stuff. It's like, well, maybe you don't verbally express that stuff. Maybe you just give better hugs, and maybe you just offer silent blessings and things like that. But just remember, don't expect to be patted on the back. Don't expect to be patted on the back. You're the one responsible for their pain, their suffering, and their confusion. It's like, oh, damn. So this is a very, 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 very humble pie journey. And you eat it and you eat it and you eat it. You eat that humble pie all the way home. Not with guilt on the top, but with responsibility sprinkled on the top. It's like, okay, true humility is accepting my place as the Christ with you. But that's a humble place where I have to take responsibility for anything that shows up for me that's not that. Accept atonement for myself.